Good day, my friends. Pwalpar here. Memorial Day's coming up, and I hope everybody has a great Memorial Day. I thought I'd do a little bit of a vlog today. I'm going to drag out my hose and squirt off the patio here. It's all covered with leaves and dirt from when I mowed grass the other day. I got a little careless and blow dirt all over it. So I thought I'd talk a little bit. I've been thinking about doing a series of videos on my childhood. A childhood that was probably quite dramatic from a lot of other people's childhoods. Kids nowadays have got it made and don't know it. They don't want for nothing. They got everything they need. Probably more than they should have. They're all spoiled rotten. And I'm just as guilty as any of the others for having to do that for my kids. But times were different in the past. Old folks thought that kids should be seen and not heard. If other adults around, you better keep your mouth shut and don't add your 2 cents worth to what's being said. They weren't interested in listening to your child's opinion. More than once I was corrected for speaking when I should keep my mouth shut. But there's a lot of things I could talk about. Basically, what it boils down to, I had it different, sometimes rougher than what kids have nowadays. My parents were divorced and separated, probably when we were like, me and my younger brother were like 5 or 6 years old. I don't remember how long they were separated, but my memory goes back pretty good. And I remember a lot was going on when I got to be 6, 7, 8, 9 years old down there in South Georgia. We lived in the same little sawmill community where my grandfather lived when we were living with my mother. I hope the camera's picking up my audio here while I work. Well, there came a time, there's lots of different subjects I could talk about, but today I want to talk about Aiken, South Carolina. I'm sure I'll think of other things to talk about. I went to the 3rd grade and part of the 4th in Aiken, South Carolina. The little school we went to only had like 3 grades to it. I don't know if it was, I guess it was an elementary school. There was only 2 or 3 classes, that's what I'm trying to say. It was a little small school, I remember it pretty good. I don't guess the building's even there anymore. But she met a man named George Wright. He turned into the horses patoot. We hated him. He worked us like dogs. We were just an extra farmhand for him on that place in Aiken, South Carolina. Now this man raised goats. He had seemed like there might have been 20 or 30 goats. Well, that was another chore for us. We had to do things what kids nowadays are just playing their video games and watching TV. We not only didn't have a TV, we had a lot of chores we had to do. Somebody had to go to the spring every day, probably about twice a day, and bring back a clean bucket of water from the spring. We were drinking water out of the spring until such as a time as he dug a well. I had a little cowboy suit that my father had gave me. I don't remember if it was Red Rider or I think it was Hopalong Cashew. It was a regular cowboy shirt with the little stripes around the pockets and on the cuffs, and little bow tie looking thing. It was a nice little cowboy shirt. And I thought I was Joe Cool wearing that cowboy shirt. Anyway, we played in the woods, me and my brother did. We did everything we could to stay away from that man, because every time we got around him, he had another chore for us to do. We had to do things like go herd the goats up every day. Well, the goats would be, good 3/4 of a mile from the farm. Had to go find them. They were always in the same part of the pasture back there. And herd them back to the barn. I got pretty good at herding goats. I had a old hound dog that would go along and help me out. He got to learning that he could chase them goats pretty good. Tomorrow I'm going to do a little smoking some meat out here. For some reason I'm doing this cleaning up now. Let me pause the story just a minute while I get over there. I'll be out of range. Anyway, back to my story. I got the patio scored off. Good as I'm gonna get done anyway. Back to old George Wright. I hated that man's guts from the day he stole my Red Ryder BB gun. I'll put a link in this video down below. You might find my story about the Red Ryder BB gun of interest. It's entitled My First Real Gun. You can always do a Google search for Pwalpar, My First Real Gun. I think that's the way I titled it. But I'll put a link if I think of it down in the description. Anyway, we had to work like dogs for that man until such time as she broke up with him and we went to, actually, let's see. Yeah, we went back to my grandfather's house. And from there, my real father came and got me. We were poor country children with very little to our own. I got pictures of me when we were a kid. We looked like some kind of refugees when you see these foreign countries where people are starving to death. You could see my rib cages and everything else. We just didn't get a proper diet or nothing else. And that old son of a gun, he was glad to have us for a farmhand. He would take his tractor and go out there and say he's cutting sapling trees, clearing some land. He'd have us back there hooking a chain up to them little trees where he could pull them up. And then when he went up in the woods somewhere and cut a big hickory tree down, about that big around, huge thing, dragged it down to the house, gave us a cross-cut saw. We had to chop firewood all the time. The axes were already out there. He came out there long enough to show us how to pull that cross-cut saw. And the best of my recollection, it was a sharp saw. You could saw the heck out of some wood with that. Well, here I am. I reckon I was about 9 years old. My brother was 8. We worked from daylight till dark for a long time. I don't remember if it was a month or 2 months or whatever it took us to saw that tree up. Once we got it sawed up, we had to split it with axes. Nowadays, you wouldn't think about giving some little old 8 or 9 year old kid an axe and a saw. You know darn well he's going to get hurt on it. But whenever he killed a hog, we had to scrape the hair off of it and towed all the guts off to the woods in a wash tub. When she washed clothes, she washed in a wash pot out there in the yard, big old black iron wash pot. Boil the water and put the clothes in there and hand wash them. That's the way the women used to do it back around the turn of the century, I guess. But we were poor and didn't have no wash machine. One thing I do remember is clothes hanging on the clothesline. You get no fresher clothes than what you can get hanging on the clothesline. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is we worked real hard. We got decided we would stay away from that man just as much as we could. We'd go off in the woods and stake on, I'm talking about from daylight till dark. It's a wonder we wouldn't get bit by snakes, because we went in places barefooted now that you wouldn't even think about going in. We've seen our share of snakes and critters. We used to pick up some kind of rock there in Aikens. It was about that big around. Now don't quote me. I don't remember what they were. They were they were hollow in the middle. And you could break them in half with a hammer. And it was just powder in there, and you could mix it with water, and it kind of made it look like paint, so we called them paint rocks. But they were a crystalline substance that, I guess if you grinded them down, they would be, shiny like a quartz or something. I never did figure out what kind of paint rocks they were. Some of you people will know what I'm talking about. It was a rock about that big around, and it was just about always hollow in the middle. I guess nowadays you can see pictures where they saw them in half with a tile saw and grind them down smooth to look pretty. But there was a lot of those laying around the property, and we'd dig them up and play with them. We had a fish trap out in the woods. We had to go down to the stream, was probably a mile from the house. Drag that fish basket out of the river, and the creek is what it was, and get all the fish out of it. Sometimes a big old slimy eel would be in there, but we'd eat them too. We didn't care. We had a row of rabbit traps we had to walk every day. I'm talking about probably 10 or 15 rabbit traps. We'd take a croaker sack and go around it was a good couple of miles around that route, checking all the traps. Whenever we found a rabbit, we'd throw him in that bag and bring him home and put him in a pen. Keep him fresh until you're ready to eat him. Well, George Wright was a mean old son of a gun too. He carried us one time over there to meet some of his family or friends. I don't remember who they was. But me and my poor brother was tagging along behind them. We didn't have no choice. We had to go with them. And the folks was talking down to me like I'm some poor white trash or something. Even at 8 or 9 years old, I could sense that they were talking down to me, and the folks just didn't sit right with me at all. I forget the topic of the conversation, but they were talking about me right there to my face. He looked at me, the guy did, and said, "Hey boy, what's your name?" And it just made me so mad. I said, "My name's Puddin' Tane. You ask me again, I'll tell you the same." Well, by that time, old George Wright knocked me all the way across the room. I was picking myself up in the corner. I learned not to talk him that day. But I hope this son of a gun's sitting on some hot coals down there in hell. We did lots of other chores, like feeding animals for him, and I got no particular fondness for any of the jobs we did. I remember none of them were fun. Toting firewood into the house, stacking firewood, cutting firewood, herding up goats, helping pick stuff when it got ripe, sawing logs. I'm sure there was a lot of other jobs that we did, but I don't remember them all. We sure was glad to get away from that son of a gun. I always said I was going to go back and find that old son of a gun and get my Red Ryder BB gun back. But last I heard, he was dead. I had no remorse for him, though, because I hated him. It's not good to hate somebody. When I got to be about 10, we went and lived with my father. Had an entirely different life down in Florida. Never did live with my mother again. But I remember her quite fondly. And I did a video here a couple years ago when I went down to see her grave. She's buried next to my grandparents down there in McCray, Georgia. I know my vlog is beginning to drag out a little bit. I'm thinking about probably doing a series of videos of various shenanigans and trouble we got into as a child. I've told several of those stories already. If it would. When it come to me and my brother, younger brother, one that was 1 year younger than me, we knew how to get in trouble. Our baby brother, he's probably 5 years younger than me. He lives up in North Georgia somewhere. He stayed on with my grandparents, and we went to live with my father, and he later came to live with us in Florida when he was, I don't know, must have been 14. We had a pretty good life in Florida. We had our share of chores to do there. It doesn't hurt for a kid to do some chores. In fact, one thing old George Wright probably gave me was a little bit of an education on appreciating hard work. I know in Florida we would cut grass and take out the garbage and help clean the bathroom. Little chores. It wasn't no major deal. I never did take to doing chores, but I guess I got used to it, because I still do plenty today. Anyway, I'm thinking about doing a series of childhood memories, kind of document them a little bit. They won't be in no particular order. But there's lots of things I can talk about in my 73 years on this earth. A lot of things that came and went under the bridge. Thanks for tuning in to my vlog today. And, I do hope everyone out there has a good Memorial Day and stay safe. And when the hurricane gets here, batten down the hatches. This is Pwalpar saying, y'all have a good